Good morning and welcome to this Wednesday, October 6, 2021 edition of the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. We have a very special show for you today. We got a great guest. Dave Wooley will join us. He is the director of a new film on the legendary Dionne Warwick. You're not going to want to miss our discussion with Dave Wooley in a few moments. But first, of course, we start with the news, and the news is not, well, it is disturbing, put it that way. Once again, K.H. Hamilton, a West Coast correspondent for the Muslim Journal and contributing writer for the San Diego Voice and Viewpoints, both members of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, brought to the fore another incident that depicts an African American being pinned by the neck by someone who is supposed to be in charge of enforcing peace. We got a video clip of this, and we want to show it right now, and then we'll discuss. And as we see it, the problem with this is that, as Hamilton writes, most folks haven't heard about the August 31st incident at Valhalla High School, which is in El Cajon outside of San Diego, where a 14-year-old African-American experienced a similar physical restraint to that of the late George Floyd when a 5'11", nearly 208-pound, 51-year-old campus security supervisor placed his knee on her neck in an attempt to break up a fight. After several videos circulated on social media and the story was reported in local media outlets, including the San Diego Voice and Viewpoints newspaper, published by Dr. John Warren, the Grossman Union High School District immediately launched an investigation. Now, more than a month after the assault has occurred, investigators remain on paid administrative leave until he receives additional training and be reassigned to a different school. Attorney Quilla also concluded that the actions of the campus supervisor, who is a former sheriff's deputy, were not racist in nature, and the school superintendent, Teresa Kemper, who released Anthony and as you see the incident unfold there, a lot of students around. In fact, it looks like the whole school is around, and this to break up a fight. Now, the backstory with these two young ladies, both reportedly with a lot of issues that, if you will, both in the foster care system, both undergoing some sort of treatment. However, it's very disturbing to see a school security officer, especially a man of this size, handling females. Got to be a better way, right? We will bring you more on this story as it unfolds. In fact, we plan to have the writer and the person who took this video on Let It Be Known. Also in the news this morning, the Justice Department and FBI were ordered Monday to help protect school employees across the U.S. following an uptick in violence against them. Attorney General Merrick Garland directed the FBI and other agencies to discuss strategies for addressing this disturbing trend. The order comes after the National School Boards Association sent a letter to President Joe Biden about the immediate threat local schools and boards are facing. And in the letter, the association, a nonprofit organization that acts as a federation of state associations of school boards, said while local school boards want to hear from their communities, they have become susceptible to acts of violence as they do their jobs. This, again, folks don't want to wear masks. They bring it to the schools, and they turn out brawling in some instances. And it's really disturbing that politics has driven people to this. Several rowdy school board members also have been caught on video, which have gone viral. Some of them even resulted in law enforcement intervention. Also in the news this morning, and before we get to the next topic, let us bring on the president and CEO of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, Dr. Benjamin F. Chavez, Jr. Dr. Chavez, good morning.
Good morning, Stacey Brown. On behalf of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, Karen Carter Richards, our distinguished chair. We represent 230 African American owned newspapers and media companies all across the United States. We're glad to be a part of this edition of Let It Be Known.
Absolutely. Dr. Chavez, always great to have you. Also in the news this morning, a San Francisco federal court decided that Tesla must pay a former worker, Owen Diaz, about $137 million after he endured racist abuse working for the company. The jury awarded more than attorneys asked for, including $130 million in punitive damages and $6.9 million for emotional distress. Diaz, a former contract worker who was hired at Elon Musk's electric vehicle company through a staffing agency in 2015, faced a hostile work environment in which he told the court colleagues used racist language to denigrate him and other Black workers, told him to go back to Africa, and left racist graffiti in the restrooms and a racist drawing in his workplace. Tesla says they use mandatory arbitration practices to compel employees to resolve disputes behind closed doors rather than at a public trial. However, this did go to court because a resolution could not be reached internally. But that's a huge, huge judgment against the automaker, Dr. Chavez.
It is a huge judgment, but racism, systemic racism in the workplace is much larger than the dollar figure. So this employee, who's an African American, certainly will now benefit from the court's ruling, from the jury's award. But I hope this sends a signal to all employers that you cannot mistreat persons of color in the workplace. Systematic racism should not be anywhere in our society, not in the politics, not in the economics, not in the social setting. And so hopefully this will not be just an isolated case, but hopefully this will have an impact on all of corporate America, on all of the auto industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Chavez, Clovis Campbell, the publisher of the Arizona Informant, of course, a member of the NMPA, his newspaper is reporting that a $10,000 reward is offered for any information on the whereabouts of Daniel Robinson, the 24-year-old who went missing more than 2 months ago from a remote Buckeye, Arizona work site. The informant received exclusive details regarding the status of search efforts to locate the young geologist who was last seen leaving his job site near Sun Valley and Cactus Road on June the 23rd, from having allegedly walked off the job and not showing up to having walked off naked into the desert and joined a monastery to become a monk. The family is steadfast in efforts to find their loved one and get the truth about what happened, causing Daniel Robinson's prolonged disappearance. As of September 30th, there were no further updates available from the Buckeye Police Department, according to a sergeant there. The organization issued a second press release earlier in the summer after the department was notified of Daniel's Jeep being discovered by a rancher on his property about 4 miles southwest of the job site where he was last seen. His Jeep was recovered in a ravine and had rolled and landed on his side with his airbags deployed. Reports indicated that he was wearing a seatbelt at the time of the accident. His personal effects, including clothes, cell phones, wallet, keys, all were recovered at the scene, according to the Arizona Informant. So, Dr. Chavez, again, this is another situation where a individual of color has gone missing, but this time, again, like we've always been, the Black press, in this instance, the Arizona Informant has been on top of this story.
Absolutely. And Clovis Campbell, the distinguished publisher of the Arizona Informant, is a former chair of the NMPA. So we wish him and his family and the newspaper all the best. And certainly we raise our concerns for this missing brother, geologist, obviously a very brother who's working hard, all of a sudden disappears. So we hope that he's found and hope that he's found safe. But all the circumstances that have been described now really make us very suspicious about what has happened to him. And the fact that the national media is not focused on this case the Arizona media statewide is really not focused. We are very grateful that the Arizona Informant is on this particular story.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will continue to update the viewers of this program. And of course, all those who read blackpressusa.com and our member newspapers like the Arizona Informant. We will certainly update you. Our producer and news director, Norman Rich, says a forensic expert hired by the family's private investigator found that the vehicle's condition was inconsistent with the reporting done by the police. So there's a lot there to look for in this case. We, like as stated, Dr. Chavez, we will continue to update folks as the events unfold. Dr. Chavez, at the recent Toronto International Film Festival held last month, the documentary Dionne Warwick, Don't Make Me Over, which chronicles the life and career of the Grammy Award winning singer, won the first runner-up honors in the documentary category at the film festival's People's Choice Awards. Chronicling that, the director of that documentary is with us this morning. Producer, writer, and co-director Dave Wooley. Good morning, Dave Wooley.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Brother Wooley, and congratulations on your success. And it's a great work about a great person.
Thank you, Dr. Chavez. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you be speaking with you. And of course, Mr. Brown, the one and only. Thank you.
Dave, tell us, first of all, congratulations, as stated. That's, no easy feat to win that prize at the film festival there in Toronto. But tell us how you put this together with Miss Dionne Warwick.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, there were 7,000 films that were submitted to just put it in perspective to the Toronto International Film Festival. And we made, the top tier. So, it truly is an honor. This film was done. It took me 5 years to produce this. So it took, it took some time, but it was a labor of love. I'm also the co-author of Dionne's autobiography, so we have a working relationship. We have been business partners for many years, and it was one of those things where I just said, you have so much of a rich legacy. You and your family and you guys have done so much for the world. We have to find a way to memorialize your history in your lifetime. So I'm very honored that this woman, who I love and dear, and who I call a genius, really gets to smell her roses in her lifetime. So this was a pleasure. It was well worth the 5 years, and I'm elated that the response has been so positive. And once again, thank you for having me on. It's truly a pleasure.
And Dave, Dionne Warwick has become the Twitter queen of late. She has really took Twitter by storm not long ago, and really has, as they say, changed the game. Even, you think about the young ones using social media, and Dionne came on, and there's been big stories and major outlets about her tweeting. What was your take on Miss Warwick tweeting and becoming such a social media star? She's already a legend, but now she's a Twitter superstar.
Well, it's, once again, Dionne is a transformational leader. She's able to take her followers and they become leaders. That's the essence of a great leader. A great leader doesn't have followers. A great leader creates other great leaders. And that's how I've tried to live my life. So the 20 plus years that we have been together as business partners and colleagues, and, at some point you become family, it didn't surprise me whatsoever. There's some people that are just touched, that are ordained. And she just happens to be one of those, really, really is a special individual. And she will continue to create good for others.
And Dave, like you said, you've known, we're talking with Dave Wooley, the producer of the new documentary about Dionne Warwick. Dave, as you said, you've known her for years. You've worked with her for years. What was there anything still because even though you know her and have known her, was there anything in putting together this documentary that surprised you?
Well, I read something recently that this has to be the only documentary in history that has a president Clinton and a Snoop Dogg in the same film. So, you talk about two opposite bookends, but, she's able to bring those types of people together. So, I was able to call the Snoop Doggs, the President Clintons, the Stevie Wonders, the Gloria Estefan, Carlos Santana, the Smokey Robinson, the Gladys Knights, and the list goes on and on. I mean, really, it's a galaxy. It's the stars. I did, those interviews, and I think what people will see is how these folks are not there as just talking heads. These folks are there because Dionne had made a major impact in their life. We have so many stories from our legends and our icons that need to be told. This just happens to be one. And I often said there's got to be at least 10 more documentaries in Dionne Warwick. I just had to find out as a producer, writer, director, which one to tell.
Dr. Chavez, I'll throw it over to you.
Well, thank you. And again, Dave, listen, man, it's a great documentary. Over the years, particularly in my civil rights career, I've happened to know Dionne Warwick. She comes from a great family of stars. And you're right. She's a bright star in a galaxy of stars. And one of the things that in the entertainment industry, particularly in African Americans, these stars relate to one another. And Dionne Warwick has opened the door for so many people. And Dave, I just want to comment about Dionne's support of the civil rights movement. Sometimes I wake up early in the morning and Dionne is on the phone talking to me about something that has happened in some community.
No, I think we kind of lost Dr. Chavez there. Dave, I guess you see where the comment was going. I want you to respond to Dr. Chavez's statement about Dionne's activity during the civil rights movement.
Well, he's absolutely correct. One of the names I didn't mention because it's just so many was who's featured in the documentary is the Reverend Jesse Jackson. And he talks about, what she did for the movement. Oftentimes these folks do things, specifically the great Dionne Warwick, without credit. So Jesse Jackson is also in the documentary. Yes. And one of the things that Jesse says in the documentary is Dionne would show up for free. Many right. others would show up and want, he would say, first class airline ticket and, this kind of hotel, and she would pay her own way. The other one. So Dr. Chavez, you want to continue?
Yes, I'm sorry. We had some internet problems, but I just wanted to say that of all of the stars in the entertainment industry, Dionne Warwick certainly is up in the front of the line in her support of civil rights, social justice, and racial justice. So she was a star on the stage, a star in the recording industry, but she's also a star in the community. And I just wanted to thank you, Dave, for doing such a strong documentary. I know Sister Dionne, and could you also comment about Dionne's relationship with Whitney Houston? Dionne is just a star among stars.
Well, she turns 81 December 12th, 12/12. So, this is a big year for her, being 80. And I can't even keep up with her. So, you talk about Twitter queen, she's just always, at the forefront. Her family is when you talk about the legacy of not just Whitney, but you got to talk about Cissy Houston, the record singers. Then you have obviously what young folks know, the great Whitney Houston. Yes, Whitney is Dionne's very first cousin. Cissy Houston is Dionne's aunt. So, it must have been something in the water in that part of New Jersey because that is a singing family. You have Dee Dee Warwick, who is Dionne's sister. But, once again, these are stories that need to be told. And I'm hoping that when this film comes out that, our parents will sit their children down and say, listen, you guys know about Beyonce, but there was a woman who was the first Black, male or female, to win a Grammy in the pop category. And that woman's name is Dionne Warwick. I mean, just think about it. In 1968 to win a Grammy in the pop, prior to that, R&B was considered R&B. and that was African American. So she broke down that barrier. She was the artist who bridged the gap, and not just in helping civil rights, but also in the industry. And those are stories that have never been told. This is another story of Dionne's activism in terms of giving 100% of her royalties in perpetuity for her biggest hit of her life. That's what Friends are for AIDS research. And donating all of those money. So, you're talking about tens of millions of dollars to AMFAR. So, can you imagine today's artists giving away 100% of their royalties in perpetuity for one of their biggest hits? But this is what this woman did without fanfare. And that's why these types of stories need to be told.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's called Dionne Warwick, Don't Make Me Over. I understand that at the festival, Dave, you guys received not one, but 2 standing ovations. What was that like for you, and what was Dionne's response?
Oh, it was magical for me. I had to the right of me my mother, in which she, raised me as a single mom in the projects in Harlem, New York City, and to the left of me was Dionne Warwick. So my mother was squeezing my hand, almost breaking it through the film as she cried because she hadn't seen the film, and Dionne was right next to me. So the electric was just unbelievable. The energy in the room. Yes, we received 2 standing ovations. The audience, roared after it. We have 2 screenings that are coming up because we're doing film festivals now. We are going to be at the Montclair Film Festival this month, and then following next month we'll be at Doc NYC in New York City. We're doing a few more festivals, so I look forward to coming back on when we have a major distributor where the masses will be able to see this. I just also want to say this film was done independently. It takes a lot to go from here to putting it on the screen. And that was done and financed independently. So the film that won the People's Choice Awards, to put it in perspective, that was a National Geographic film. So you can imagine the resources that they had. And it was a great story as well. But to do these things independently, that's what it takes to bring these stories to fruition. And I'm very honored that I was able to pull that off. And I thank God for allowing me to do that.
And also to put in perspective, those 2 standing ovations at the Toronto International Film Festival. Just think about it like this, folks. If you know about the Apollo Theater in New York on amateur night, how difficult it is for the audience to accept a performance. Well, those folks up in Toronto at that particular film festival, they don't just give standing ovations. In fact, it's hard to get an applause out of them. So to get 2 there tells you a lot about that film, Dave. Tell us a little bit more. Now, you mentioned too that you talked about the Snoop Dogs and the Clintons and Gladys Knight, etc. But tell us a little bit something more about the film that perhaps, not without giving it away, but that you feel will really hit viewers the way you had envisioned as you put it together.
There's so many anecdotes, because I covered basically her entire life. But what really resonates, I think, with people is the music. Dionne is a formally trained singer, so she went to college. She has a bachelor's degree in music education, and she has a master's degree in music education. So Dionne can play piano, she can read music, she can sight read music, she has perfect pitch, and all of that kind of comes out. So, she's not a quote unquote singer who just plays and can sing, naturally. She has that gift as well, but she's also formally trained. And, I wanted to say that, these are the kinds of things that need to be told. There's people look at me and think that, hey, this guy just pulled this off. No, I have a bachelor's degree and I have an MBA. I'm an adjunct business professor. Prior to Dionne, I was Dr. J's business partner, Julius Irving, for 7 years. These things don't happen overnight. And we need to tell our kids that there's a value to formal education.
That's right.
There's a value to that. And these things don't happen unless you really have a skill set to be able to pull them off, especially on that level that we're talking about here. So, that's what I want to come out, young, gifted, and Black.
about that.
Absolutely.
And Dr. Chavez, just so our viewers and everyone to know that the Montclair Film Festival, in which Dave references, which is up on Saturday, October 23rd at 4 p.m. Eastern, the film will be there. It's open to the public, so you can go see it. You can get your tickets. The tickets went on sale this past Friday at Montclair, M-O-N-T, Claire, C-L-A-I-R film.org, montclairfilm.org. You put in the /events /Dionne /Warwick, Don't Make Me Over. And you can buy tickets to that and see this incredible documentary before it even hits the theaters, because at some point it's going to hit the theaters, it's going to hit Netflix. And so you could be the first to see this outstanding documentary about this legend. So I just wanted to alert our viewers that they can actually get tickets to the Montclair Film Festival. Dr. Chavez, go ahead.
Thank you. You know, I have a residence in Montclair. Me and my family will be there, Dave.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
But I wanted to go back to 1968 when Dionne Warwick broke into the pop charts, the first African American. 68 was a turbulent year. You know, Dr. King was killed in 68. Bobby Kennedy was killed in 68. We had the riots in the summer. Richard Nixon is elected president. Man, it was a crazy year, an awful year for Black America. But her song, you know, lifted everybody's spirits. Can you just talk a moment, Dave, about the importance of the Black press to artists like Dionne and like yourself and like this film? Because a lot of times, even when she broke into the main pop charts, the mainstream media, they noted it, but they didn't carry it over and over again as a major story. But it was on the front page of all of our newspapers across the country. Just talk to a moment about how the Black press still plays an important role for artists. Longevity, as you said, it takes a long time to have a lasting, enduring impact. And certainly Dionne Warwick's life is about not just resiliency, it's about perseverance. It's about overcoming.
You know, Black Press USA has been at the forefront, and I give you guys a standing ovation for what you do. And that's why I'm here, to get these stories out to our community. There's a scene in the film where I actually have, when Dionne had her hits on the pop charts, I actually have a cover of Jet magazine in the film, because that's the significance of Black press. And that was my my way as a director, paying homage to the Black press within the body of the film. 1968, you know, Dionne had that huge hit, Do You Know the Way to San Jose? You know, that won a Grammy in the pop category. Once again, that had not happened for an African-American artist as a single artist. So, you know, the ones that carried it was the Black press. So when people see that in the film, they're like, I didn't know Dionne did that. I didn't know she was, you know, that kind of a thing. And it is very important for us to understand the power of our voices. And without the Black press, we wouldn't have a voice, because it's the Black press that makes the mainstream media report about these issues. So kudos to you, and God bless you. May you continue to do your great work that you're doing. Look forward to seeing you as well, Dr. Chavez.
Thank you.
Well, Dave Wooley, the director of the new documentary on Dionne Warwick, Don't Make Me Over. Dave, we have just about a minute. Just real quick, one last appeal to everyone to go see this. What would that be?
Well, you know, just follow us on all of these social medias. And as soon as we have breaking news, because we're out there now looking for a major distributor for this film. So, you know, once again, we're creating a groundswell that says, you know, this is one of the stories that we want to see. And this is what we have to do in our community. So, you know, we want people to continue to tweet about it. We want people people to share things on Facebook. You can reach me. I'm on Facebook, Dave Wooley. I'm on Instagram, Dave_Wooley, and I'm on Twitter as well. And of course, we know how to reach the Quitter Tween. She's, and that wasn't self-proclaimed. That was by the head of Twitter,
right.
giving her. So I'm waiting for the crown.
Well, you see, Dr. Chavez, you got to get on Twitter to make sure they send Dionne her well-deserved crown, Twitter queen. So,
well, absolutely. Well, she's also a queen in the Black press, and not for a day, but enduring. Dionne Warwick continues to represent a lifetime of service, a lifetime of creative genius, a lifetime of being on the front line of the struggle for support. And as you've mentioned, Dave, a lot of times, I know I'm going to get into all the details, but Dionne is given much more than she's received. And I'm so thankful that you've done this film about her, because another aspect that doesn't get a lot of media coverage is her philanthropy, it's her giving back, it's her care about the communities in which she has emerged.
Well, she was willing to put her entire career on the line, for civil rights, for HIV, for, trying to make a difference. That's why I call her simply a genius. Yes. So, I really do, and we have to honor our folks, especially while they're still with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Dave Wooley, Dionne Warwick, Don't Make Me Over. You got to check it out. It's going to be a blockbuster. Montclair Film Festival is coming up, so go online, get your tickets so you can be the first to see this fantastic documentary. And don't forget to check out the Black Press of America and the National Newspaper Publishers Association on TikTok at NNPA Black Press. Let it be known. Remember this: when given an opportunity, deliver excellence and never quit. We will see you tomorrow.